What's going on, everybody? Cheers. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the With Her Two Hands podcast, where each week we celebrate the women who build, fix, and make the things that make the world go round with her own two hands. I am your host, Bogey. I am a master auto mechanic by trade, but I'm passionate about getting women into all of the different trades and celebrating their presence there, and really trying to help normalize seeing women out in the trades. And you guys are all a part of making that happen, normalizing seeing women in the trades. So thank you for being a part of that. Now, tonight's guest, I'm very excited. She took an opposite path than I did, polar opposite path, but we wound up in kind of the same place, which is really kind of interesting to me. And I'm really excited to hear more about her and her journey. As many of you know, I'm an auto mechanic by trade. And somehow along the way, I wound up a TV host and in the world of television. And our guest tonight started out in the world of television. She had an accomplished career as a TV host, and then she totally switched gears and got into automotive. We are now both incredibly passionate about championing women in the trade. So this should be a fun episode. So thank you guys for being a part of this. If you like this series, please make sure that you hit like, hit subscribe, share these episodes with your friends. It's so important that more people meet these incredible women that we've had on this series now 3-4 years, 187 episodes. Today is 187. I'm really excited about it. So you guys make sure that you help us spread the word so we can keep doing this, so we can keep shining a light on the amazing women of the trades. And without further ado, I'm going to quit my blabbing and bring on the amazing Miss Stephanie Henry. Hello, darling.
Hello, how are you?
I am so fantastic. So fantastic. And I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm so excited to be here and honored that you have compared me to being like even comparing me to you. I'm beside myself. Let me just say that.
It's the feeling is mutual, right? Like your experience in what you do is amazing, and we both have these different backgrounds, and it's so fascinating that we wound up in the same place with such different backgrounds. So
Yeah.
tell everybody at home, like before you got into cars, what was
Mhm.
Miss Stephanie Henry's life like? What were you doing?
Yeah. So before I really kind of dove headfirst into automotive and into cars and really pursue my passion of cars and teaching other women about them, I am a TV host. I'm a TV host on Canada's #1 morning show, Breakfast Television. I do traffic there. I'm also an automotive specialist for City Line and for BT as well. So, yeah, that's what I do outside of She Oughta Know. And in 2022, I created She Oughta Know. I've been in my industry for about 7 years when it comes to media.
Okay.
So I've been doing traffic for about 5-6 years, and then in 2022 I was kind of like, okay, like I kind of want to really pursue my interest in auto. And I'll talk a little bit more about why I thought I had to go back to school to do it.
Yeah.
But I decided to go back to school and went to the Automotive Training Center in Toronto and took a service technician course, which honestly, one, I never thought I'd go back to school after I was done a
Right.
degree and a diploma. I was like, not never doing that again. Um, and to the fact that I went back to do a trade and use my hands, I've always been a hands-on learner, but I don't even, yeah, it's been magical, a magical experience.
There's so many layers and so many directions that I want to go. My little ADD brain is like going all over the place right now. I want to ask you so many things at the same time. I definitely want to talk about this whole like going back and changing gears kind of later in life, but I'm so curious, like you were doing traffic, which
Yeah,
obviously deals with cars.
yeah.
Was that and like doing automotive coverage and that
Mhm.
whatnot on the shows, was it because you had an underlying interest in cars from the get-go that kind of
Mhm.
pushed you in that direction within journalism and within media, or was that just kind of happenstance?
It was totally happenstance, which is
Okay.
funny because when I was in college, I actually did a documentary. It was a 30-minute documentary on exotic cars
Oh,
and car culture. So for me, I've always had this interest in auto, in car culture. It's just something that I've been so far removed from.
hmm.
And I was like, well, I kind of want to be in the mix of that. I want to see what it's about and what the culture is all about. And, I did a degree in broadcast journalism. It was something I always wanted to do. And well, I did a diploma in that and I did a degree in sociology, the study of people. And then I ended up, my first job was as an audio editor and a traffic reporter.
Interesting.
So it feels like the universe has kind of like always been pushing me like gently towards like where I am right
Mhm.
now, which is like dealing with cars and, actually taking tires off and getting in there. Um, and yeah. So it feels like the universe kind of, yeah, pushing me in this direction. And it's always just been like a curiosity for me.
I love that. I always find it interesting when we like find at a point later in our lives where we get to like merge all of our passions and it's like, oh, that's why all
Yeah.
those things had to happen to bring
Yeah.
me to here now where
Exactly.
it all makes sense. I'm curious, like when you were younger, was it ever like uh, did you ever see it as a possibility to explore the trades when you were young when you had that pull towards the automotive scene?
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And you know what? It's because like in high school, we were, yeah, I specifically mean from my experience, I was pushed towards taking like photography, home ec. We had shop and we had woodworking. I was not pushed in that direction, and I didn't see any other girls or women in those spaces in those classes. And when you see a space and there's nobody else that looks like you there, you're like, okay, so maybe this is not the place for me.
Yeah.
So I so wish that I had the I wish I knew that it was a possibility when I was in high school that I can actually pursue my interest and actually, give it a try, see if I really like it. Again, I'm a
Yeah.
hands-on learner. So for me, I have to get in there and try something in order to know if it is for me. And yeah, it just never happened in high school. And then, I was like, okay, I'm into broadcast. And just like you said, it's so crazy how the world, like little bits of the world and your experiences are pulled together and end up, you can literally make a career out of it. I thought you only could be this one thing, but
Yeah.
it's weird how it all comes together.
It does, and I'm grateful, right? In a sense, I'm grateful that you weren't exposed to it initially because you did take a great path and you got some
Hmm.
great skills. And I think now it gives you this unique opportunity to leverage this platform you have, to leverage the skills that you have in marketing and broadcast
Yeah.
to really do something unique and different. And at the same time, it always makes me so sad when I'm like, oh gosh, like these so many women who might have been amazing at
Mm-hmm.
hands-on trades
Oh
that
yeah.
just never ever got exposed because of exactly what you said. Like either we don't see it at all, we're not exposed to it at all, or we
Hmm.
see it and there's nobody who looks like us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if my hands-on-ness is because my dad's a contractor, but I
Okay.
also never had that experience of, anyone close to me being in the trade, in the auto trade, whether it was, buying, leasing, selling, doing that side of things, or actually being a mechanic. So for me, it was literally just a curiosity and interest, and I kind of just, I guess I never let it go.
No, I love it. I love that you never let it go.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this little side secret passion, this little
Yeah.
pull towards automotive. You're going down the path to get into marketing and broadcast. Um, when when does it start pulling and tugging at you so hard that you're like, I have to do something about this? And what was that tipping point for you?
I would say that that point in my career was definitely the pandemic. Um, I feel like a lot of people use the pandemic as a time. I mean, it was a very scary, tough time
Yeah.
where we dealt with, we were separated, people passed, like, you couldn't see your family. It was such a hard time. And there's so many people that coped with it in different ways. For me, it was learning something new and using it to kind of say, okay, well, I'm sitting here. What can I do? And it for me was like leaning into a passion that I've always had, which is auto. And so that was kind of the tipping point and the push. And I will be very honest in saying that I never thought that there would be no traffic on the road. Okay. And I was at work reporting every day, looking at these cameras, and there's no traffic.
You're like, there's nothing to report. You were like
Literally
a
nothing.
weather person in Phoenix,
Yeah.
right? Because in Phoenix, every day is like, it's hot.
Every day's hot
It's
and
still
sunny.
hot.
Yeah. Literally. And I was like, okay, well, like if I'm not this and I'm not doing this, like what else am I? What else can
Mm.
I do? And how can I carve something out for myself, maybe use my platform for good? And that was a point where I decided to go back to school.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. I love it. And I love that you not only decided to pursue this passion, but you decided to do it like what I consider the right way. You didn't just like dive into something that you didn't know about.
Hmm.
You said, I want to go and get certified. I want to
Hmm.
understand and really truly dive in. What made you go that route? You were older at this point, right?
Yeah.
You were
Hmm.
already established in your career. We're not going
Yeah.
to go to age unless you want to talk about it. I know better.
Oh gosh, I'm like math. My math is hard. 2022. I'm 30 now. I don't
Oh,
know.
you're a
So the use
baby.
the guess. Yes, so little
You
baby.
baby
Oh
still.
baby. Oh baby. Yeah. Yes, I am. But you know what? When you're in industry like in television, as you know, it's so easy for like producers and directors to be like, well, we need an automotive expert or specialist, and you talk about cars. So why not? We're just gonna give you this title of expert, and you're just gonna do the things that we need you to do. And a
Right.
lot of people do that. And hey, a
Sure.
lot of people learn as they go.
Okay.
No knock in the hustle.
Sure.
But for me, as a woman, as a black woman, entering an auto space, I was like, already I deal with like imposter syndrome. All right. I was like,
Mhm.
absolutely, I will be torn to shreds if I try to enter this industry and I don't at least do the work, have a piece of paper that says I went somewhere, I learned
Right.
from people that have 40 plus years of experience.
Yeah.
I knew that like that is just something I don't know if my soul could have taken. And also it just didn't feel right. So I that's what made me decide to go back to school and do it the right way and actually learn the things that I'm talking about and teaching other people about too.
I love it, and I so agree. That
Mhm.
was initially my same thing, was like, nobody's gonna take me seriously
Exactly.
unless I have that piece of paper, unless I go to school, unless I show that I'm actually, like, for real about
Mhm.
this,
Mhm.
and that then I fell deeper in love, like, it just that reinforced my
I love
passion, but
that.
that's how it started, was I need to be
Mhm.
legitimate.
But
Um
what point in your career did you finally feel like legitimate? There's no imposter syndrome here. I am here to stay. This is my lane.
You're
No pun
cute.
intended.
I have been an auto mechanic for 25 years. I still
Yeah.
struggle with imposter syndrome.
Oh my
It
god.
is still a thing, but at the same time, I also like I know that I'm a damn good technician, right? Like
Mhm.
I know that I'm good. I know that I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
I do still struggle every once in a while. There'll be moments when I'm like talking to somebody who knows stuff that I don't know, that I
Mm.
have that moment where I just forget for a second that of course there's people who know stuff you don't know,
Mhm.
because you don't know
Know
everything.
everything.
Nobody
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing that women in the trades and just women in general really tend to, like, we hold ourselves up to this unrealistic standard
Mhm.
that does not exist.
Mhm.
And then that becomes imposter syndrome, and we
Mhm.
take out the hammer and we beat ourselves about it. And it's men don't do that. When they don't
Yeah.
know things, they're like, "Oh, hey, I didn't know that."
Yeah. Literally. And they
Right?
move on. They move right along. They're like, hey, now I know it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Women don't know things, and we're like, "Oh, I should have
Oh my
known
god,
that. Why didn't I
yes.
know that?
I'm
I'm an
so
idiot."
embarrassed. I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life. Yep, 100% feel that.
Yes. So I don't think it ever goes away, because I don't think it's about how smart you are or how skilled you
Mhm.
are. I think it's how we were raised in so many ways.
Absolutely, and I feel like when you are someone who thinks that you do know it all, I feel like that's when you lose. Like, that's when you kind
Totally.
of because you're not open to learning anything new.
Yeah.
You're maybe stuck in your ways, and yeah, it just doesn't serve you.
Yeah. And I think too, going back to your point about not being able to not seeing people who looked like us, right? I had one
Mhm,
layer of that. I didn't see
mhm,
women. You had
mhm.
two layers of that. You didn't see
Yeah.
women. You definitely didn't see black women, right?
Mhm.
Women are 1.9% of
Yeah.
automotive technicians. Black women are like, I think there's like five of you,
Yeah.
um,
Literally, yeah.
like across the world.
Yeah.
So you had it to the nth degree. And I
Mhm,
think once it's hard to not have that feeling of I don't belong.
mhm.
We hear it from the outside so much that
Yep.
it's hard to shake that. that I don't belong feeling,
Mhm.
even
It's
once you
definitely
belong.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely hard to shake that you don't belong feeling, and yeah, being one of very, very few, Black women in automotive and doing service tech work, it's yeah, you walking into a room and not seeing anyone that looks like you, and also presenting on air, right? Like I present automotive stories and
Yeah.
content on TV, and I can tell you, I don't think there is any Black woman or doing that on TV that I've seen, you know. So
Yeah.
that is tough, just because it's like, well, I get a bit more criticism for sure. Definitely a bit more on the constant side. Definitely dealing with that imposter syndrome on another level,
Yeah.
especially when you don't have someone that you can kind of turn to and be like, "Hey, you've experienced what I've experienced, you know, through and through.
Right.
How do I do this? What is the roadmap? Like, how do I navigate?" Right? All the auto puns. How do I navigate this? Right? So you don't have it, and it's really tough to manage.
Agreed,
Hmm.
100%. I think that's one of the things I'm so passionate about with this podcast series, and why I love what you're doing is that so much of it is like we have such similar stories. So many of the women in the trades, no matter what
Hmm.
our background is, we have such similar stories, and it crosses from trade to trade, right? Auto
Hmm.
mechanics, carpenters, electricians, plumbers,
Hmm.
and the more we hear each other's stories, the more normalizing it gets, and the more we
Yeah.
realize like, oh, it's not just me. Oh, I'm not alone. Like
Hmm.
that's such an important feeling. But
Yeah. It's a
God,
huge piece.
I have to ask you, like, were you always the person who leaned into the discomfort? I mean, you were a Black woman in media, which by
Hmm.
itself is a
Hmm.
thing.
It's a
A
thing, huge
Black
thing. Yeah.
woman in media doing cars,
Hmm.
like, then you get into cars. It's like you kept adding on. You're like,
I
"How can
know.
I make my life
A little
even harder?"
bit. It's a little bit harder. Yeah, I guess I always kind of have like kind of leaned in a little bit to, what's just like uncomfortable and kind of like spaces where, I don't see women and I don't see Black women and I'm like, huh, why aren't we there? And then I get there and I'm like, huh, okay, I
That's
see.
why.
I see why we're not here. Yeah. Literally. I see why we're not here. Um And, like, for me, I completely and totally believe in if I can see it, I can be it. And no matter what I've done in my career, I've always had this feeling that I have to give back and that I have to pull other people up. And I kind of like stand on the shoulders of giants. There's a ton of amazing women, amazing Black women in media, that I look up to, and who have been told, "Hey, you have to change your hair because it's a little too black, and you need to be a bit more digestible for viewers." I've heard that. I've walked into a
Diversity light,
newsroom.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I walked into a room, and there was me and another Black woman, and literally being called on air another Black woman's name, and we look nothing alike. And I've also, even before I got my job as a host on our morning show, I was also told, like, when I applied to audition, like, "Hey, so like I know you applied, but where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I didn't even get an interview, even though I was, at the time, under that management, I was filling in on the show to do traffic. So it's very interesting. It's like I wasn't seen as the person that could be there, that could be the person, standing in that role. So it's dealing with things like that, and it goes into so many different industries, including auto as well.
Yeah. I think we tend in the trades, it's very easy to think like it's just here, right? Like it's just in the trades, but
Hmm.
it is still, and I think there are industries where the sexism and the racism isn't quite as fierce anymore,
Hmm.
or maybe it's more subdued
Yeah,
in other
a
places,
little more
right?
hidden. Yeah.
Right, a
Yeah.
little more hidden.
Mhm.
But in the automotive, and I'm curious your experience with this. My experience is that in the automotive industry, like it's just a little cruder. It's a little bit more in your
Mhm.
face. Is a little
Mhm.
less restraint around it. Whereas, like in other
Mhm.
industries, they could not like you. They could not
Yeah.
want you there, but they're
Yeah.
going to try to hide it. In the
Yeah.
automotive
Mhm.
industry, they're like, we don't like
Mhm.
you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's really hard to deal with. And I'm trying to think about, an instance where, well, UK, I can tell you when I went to school.
Mhm.
I went back to school, I did the auto service tech diploma. And I remember being like talked to by, an official there and they said, hey, so just to let you know, you kind of have to have like a thick skin and just have to kind of like manage, just manage kind of what you're about to kind of walk into. And I wonder if they obviously knew I'm in media. So I feel like they also were like, just so you know, you're walking into, this kind of environment, just brace yourself. And I was like, oh yeah, got it, cool, understood. I completely understand. And I kind of walked away from that conversation and I was like, why do I have to adjust my expectations? Why can't we just go into, change the culture of the space? And I feel like it starts from from the ground. We shouldn't be, accommodating this kind of language and this kind of, these kind of words and this environment. But I was told I had to change myself, but the
Right.
people around me weren't expected to change.
Right. Gosh, I am so right there with you. Like,
Mm,
why, if you have to warn people about your industry, if you have to
mm.
warn people about the culture, like
Yeah,
maybe it's the culture that's the
maybe it's culture.
problem.
Maybe it's a
Yeah.
problem. Absolutely.
Did you
Yeah.
feel like it was dramatically different? Did you feel a big difference between media, being in TV and broadcast versus walking into school and
Yeah.
automotive environment? Was it very different like they said?
I think it was very different. I would say it was different. It was different
Okay.
for sure. Yep. I would say that I walked in and thankfully my teacher was absolutely amazing.
That's
But
awesome.
when he was away and there would be fill-ins,
Ew.
I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy I
Mhm.
found my teacher because I don't think I would have actually lasted this program if it wasn't for him."
Wow.
And I
Interesting.
don't think that your success should hinge off of any one person, especially if you're putting in the work and you're in an educational institution. The expectation is that you're getting treated the same and that you're getting the same kind of respect as your other students, and that just wasn't there.
Mm.
It was like a not feeling right and asking questions, not feeling, like it's a safe environment, really, hearing the crude jokes, even coming from the front of the room. Yeah, it was a lot to manage and deal with. So I would say it definitely is a bit different than the broadcast industry.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, and your point, like, gosh, I wish we could scream that off the rooftops. Like, your
Yeah.
education and your success should not depend on one person. That is so huge, and that is what I hear time and time and time again as I'm interviewing women, that, there was this one teacher, there was this one
Mhm.
mentor, there was that one guy who they worked with that took them under their wing and took care
Mhm.
of them. And if it hadn't been for them, they probably wouldn't have made it.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
such a shame to me that that's the case. But I'm so glad that you found somebody amazing right off the bat.
I'm so glad too. I'm so glad too. Shout out to Dave. He's the best.
Yay,
He
Dave.
literally is the best, and I still talk to him to this day. Like, I graduated, and when I have questions and I'm doing segments, and I'm like, "Oh, I don't really, I don't know this much," because again, like, I did the program, he has the 40 years of experience, and then for me, it's like, now I gotta decide, okay, am I gonna do this program now am I gonna apprentice? And
Mhm.
it's 5 years full-time to apprentice, but I already have my full-time job. I'm like, "Oh god, what do I do?" And so, I would always talk to him and say if I had questions, just to make sure all my facts were straight, and I would go through my segments with him, and he would still to this day gives me advice and helps me through. And I, like it's he's one in a million for sure. And it's true. You find your one mentor or that one student that is there, that respects you and doesn't treat you any differently, and they sometimes are the reason that you actually carry through and carry on.
Yeah. And y'all, that's the proof that it can be different, that
Mhm,
we don't have to warn people that the culture is bad, because there's
mm,
proof. There are good students, there are good teachers, there are good people within the industry. There's
mhm,
tons of them, actually.
mhm.
Why do we tolerate the bad stuff?
Why do we tolerate bad stuff, and why are there no consequences for the bad stuff? Why,
Mhm.
there needs to be consequences, and I think that's the only way we'll kind of even shift the culture. And it's funny enough, my teacher, he was the one that was like, "Yeah, like it's got to start from the young students coming into mechanics because he's like, I've been doing this for 40 years and the people up here with me are not going to change, is, what he said. And it's a tough pill to swallow and to also admit that there is a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this idea of She Oughta Know, your company that
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
dig into a little bit here, when did that come up? Was that an idea before going to school? Did that grow out of having gone to school and your experiences there? Tell me
Mhm.
more.
Yeah. She ought to know definitely came after I went to school. And it was because obviously, like I said, I went back to school. They wanted me to be this automotive specialist expert, talk about auto content and things. And I was like, cool, I got to go back to school because I already got imposter syndrome. I don't need to add another layer. Okay, like we lean into the to
But there's
discomfort, but not
only so much.
only so much, only so much. And so after I went to school and I kind of was done, I was like, okay, like that's what I was deciding. Am I going to apprentice? How am I going to like, because for me it was like if I don't use it, I'll lose it. It's so true. If you don't do it, you're gonna just lose it. So I said, okay, I gotta create a platform called She Oughta Know. And actually the name came to me in like a dream. So I didn't know what it was gonna be called. So I was just like, I just want to create a platform using my media experience, my platform, and then now my new, awakening in auto and all the people I've met and all the amazing women in automotive. And I got to bridge these worlds together and encourage women to learn more about their cars. I feel like every single person on earth has an automotive journey of some sort, whether they have a car or not. They've been in a car. I can almost guarantee 100% of the universe has probably been in a car or seen a car. So for me, it's like, okay, well, how can we empower women and people to learn more about, how to take care of their cars just on the day to day, even if it's the small things. Maybe you want to do DIY. Maybe you are someone who is young and is just getting into buying your first car. What to look for, when you're going to buy that car, especially if you're going to buy a used car. Yeah, there's just so many different pockets. And then also one of the number one things that I was hearing when I was doing content on the shows was like, oh, I wish I could do that. And
Mm,
two, I just don't feel comfortable even going to the shop to talk
yeah.
to me. I always feel like I'm being either ripped off. There's just this barrier because I just don't know. And nobody has ever taken the time to explain it. And that's a problem in itself. And that's kind of, what we talk about at like through She Oughta Know is if you are made to feel like you are either less than, you don't know what you're talking about, or not even able to ask questions, then maybe that's not the place you need to be and the people you need to be get like buying work from, right? So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about why I created She Oughta Know. And again, She Oughta Know, the name came to me in a dream. I was like, oh, this is like gold. And then I looked around Canada. I was like, does anyone have this yet? No. I was like, oh, let me go incorporate this right now. And then from there, yeah, it started off as just as a, I'm test driving cars and I'm showing women and people, hey, this is what I'm test driving. This is what it's like. And then kind of developed from there. And I had our first ever She Oughta Know car clinic in March for International Women's Month, and it was amazing. It was everything I hoped for.
I love it. Tell me about that event and
Yeah.
what were like the biggest like I guess wins for it from it.
Yeah, yeah. So the event was for International Women's Month, and it was all about empowering women in their cars. And so what I really wanted from the event was to have women teaching women and to create a safe space where people could feel like they could ask questions, learn something new. So we made sure we had different activations. And again, like I said, I'm a hands-on learner with her two hands. Okay. Plug. Um, and so it was really important for me to have different activations that where women could be hands-on or could ask questions. So we had an activation on emergency kits because I always found that a lot of people get them and just throw them in the car and don't actually know how to use anything in it. That includes even what's in your car already when it comes to putting on a spare tire.
People don't
People are
know.
like, I don't know. People don't know. Most people don't know. So there was that, and then I had an activation on tires where I had two amazing female mechanics actually lead that activation, where they talk to women about how to take off the tires, put them back on, and then also I kind of feel like I understand women just being a woman. We had coveralls with the logo on it, so everyone was putting on their coveralls, and they were just getting into it. I saw them on
Mhm.
the ground, looking under, like, oh, okay, like seeing what everything's about. And I think there was no better feeling than seeing women actually really interested in it and like that have no experience with auto at all and really getting into it and embodying it. Like I think it's finding the importance in it too. We had test driving available and then we also had car seats available. So we had just a wide range of activities and activations going and a wide range of female experts to kind of teach and create that safe space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Were there any like surprises? Were there any like things that came out of the event that you were like, I was not expecting that for either good or
Mhm.
bad reasons?
Yeah, no, 1000%. A woman came up to me at the end of the event. She was crying. And, she was like, "Oh, I have a government job. I love my job. It's great." But she's like, "I'm just so inspired, like, by today, and, like, I think I need to take a leave of absence and pursue this." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, yeah. I like, tears in her eye, I think I need to take leave and pursue this." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, like, how can I support you?" And at the event, I also had a panel on, like, red flags to look out for when you go to your next service visit. And my teacher was a part of the panel, Dave.
Nice.
And another woman, Katie, who was one of the mechanics that helped with the tire activation. She was on the panel along with New, who is I'm pretty sure you know New. Yeah,
Yes,
she's
New
amazing.
has was number 3, episode number 3 on With Her
Hey,
2 Hands back in the day.
oh,
We have to have her on again.
yes,
She's
you
wonderful.
do. She's amazing, and so she's so supportive, and yes, she poured so much into She Ought to Know as well. Like I love it. And she went up to the panelists after the fact and talked to Dave about the course that I took, and then talked to Katie about her experience as she just graduated from her automotive program. And she came to me and was like, "Yeah, like I'm gonna pursue this. I'm gonna take a leave." And it was something I didn't expect. Like I didn't expect to completely steer someone in another direction, but it was such a surprise, and it really made solidify that I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right thing and I'm on to something here. And how can I take it a step further? So it really just got everything going up here.
Oh, that's so fantastic. I love
Yeah.
that so much. And it's so much the time it's like just giving people permission
Hmm.
to dream about these things and giving them the okay. Like it is okay to open your hood and look under it, even if you don't know
Yeah.
what you're looking at. It is okay to ask questions, right?
Hmm.
You so often women go into repair shops, to your point, like they wind up feeling taken advantage of, even if they're not,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
feeling vulnerable,
Hmm.
but they're often too afraid to just ask the questions. And
Yep.
just asking the questions gives you everything you need to know, right? If they're
Hmm.
not willing to answer you, leave.
Leave. Literally leave. Absolutely.
and
Hmm.
and they just need somebody to give them permission to do that, right? And
Hmm.
hearing it from you, hearing it from me, hearing it from other women, I think is just it's so crucial. What a cool event. What a cool event you
Yeah.
did.
It was so fun. We had like 70 women, and it was just so amazing to see the room filled with people there to learn and be empowered and leave feeling exactly that same thing. We sent a survey out after the event just asking, like, okay, what can we do better? What was it missing? Did you feel like more confident like leaving than you did walking in? And 100% of people who did the survey said yes, they felt more confident, and like they knew more when it came to their car. And were asking me before the event was even over, when is the next one? Are you taking this on the road? And I was like, on the road? I barely made it through this one. Planning your first event is no easy feat. I felt like I was planning my wedding all over again. When you care so much about something, that's how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of were.
Yeah,
It's your
literally.
wedding to your new business.
New business. Exactly, exactly. And it was just I felt so good, and I can't wait to do so much more, work within the community and build and more events. And, coming up in October, I'm, also doing, putting some, work together for an Indigenous community
Mm,
who I didn't know, I think it was in Thunder Bay, they can get their full license at 16 years old.
oh,
I had no idea, no idea.
that's
So I
way
was
too
like,
young.
"Okay, a little bit," you know? So I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, yeah, we'll put something together for you, like a program where, we're teaching and you're hearing from experts and you can ask questions." And, so I'm just so excited to see just how much impact we can have.
I love it. So I have to ask,
Yes.
anytime I speak with somebody who's like had a career path and then switched gears and gone another direction, is there any regret? Maybe regret's too strong of a word. Is there any like wishing you had found it sooner and dove into it sooner, or did it happen the way it was supposed to?
Huh. I think I think it happened the way it was supposed to. I truly believe the universe was like pushing me in this direction. Um, you know, yeah, I just feel like the universe is pushing me in this direction. I think, obviously not getting the experience in high school, but pursuing it for a documentary in college and then, being hired on as a traffic reporter. At that point, I had just started driving. And honestly, I know they tell you to take any job, but when they're like, you know what, we have traffic reporter and audio editor, like it was like the one role. And I was like, oh, I don't know if you want me to do traffic. Like I barely can, I don't know, north, south, east, west. I don't know. So I'm like, somebody asks me and I'm like, am I a compass? No, I don't know. No idea. So at the time, I just started driving. And I was like, okay, they're like, you know what? It's okay. We've taught people greener than you, and I think that it is also the fact that there are the people and mentors and companies that are willing to teach, like even if you don't know, as long as you're willing to learn and make yourself vulnerable, you can get very far if you put in the work. And so of course I started traffic reporting and I was doing overnights, and then I was moved into middays, and then I was moved to the morning show, doing the morning show on radio, like filling in from time to time. And it was just pure work that got me there. And then to finally auditioning for BT, not getting, being sad, like where you see yourself in 5 years, and not really getting it at the first time, but then filling in and putting in the work and doing what I do, and finally being asked, hey, actually, do you mind sticking around and doing the job? And I was like, oh, well, first I was like, oh no, but then I was like, sure. Yeah, I was like, oh no, I don't know, like it feels a little bit weird, but yeah, then it was like, well, you got to do this, and it was like, okay, sure, I'm here. And so I feel like gently I've been pushed in this
Mhm.
direction, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think that, like you said, I was able to build a platform by being on air and doing TV and talking traffic and then talking auto, and I was slow momentum, and I think it's coming to fruition now.
There's so many layers to that story and that experience.
Mhm.
At first, I do have to ask how on earth anybody met you, experienced your personality, and said, "Traffic, yeah, traffic."
I have
You
no
are
idea.
so dynamic.
Oh,
Like you were made for so much more on TV
oh,
than,
thank
than
you.
traffic, but I love that it all worked out. Um,
Yeah.
do you feel like, well, actually, before I say that, I
Mhm,
also have to acknowledge I really appreciate the point of putting in the work to
mhm,
build your way up to that
mm.
place. And I think there's definitely a lot in today's culture where young people are like, I want to be X. And then when they have to do 17,000 steps to get to X, they're like, no, 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 no. I just want to
Mhm,
do X. And you're like, no, but you have to start at A.
mhm. And work your way through the alphabet. Yeah, it's true. In the age of TikTok,
Mhm.
everybody is an expert. So
So I extra applaud you for wanting to go back and actually
thank you.
become an expert and really work to build your skills. Do you think that
Yeah.
you want to be? I mean, now you found this calling with Shiata. Now I think it's a
Yeah.
huge calling. I think you have significant potential there that is like that not everybody has. Right, your
Mhm,
background in media and broadcast gives you the ability to put on these events in a bigger
mhm,
way and reach
mhm,
more people than maybe the
mhm,
average person would.
mhm,
But do you feel a calling to wanting to, like you talked about doing your apprenticeship and
mhm,
getting hands-on, leaving
mhm.
broadcast. Excuse me, I don't know what's happening with my voice today. I apologize.
No
I guess that
worries.
means I should stop talking so much and let you talk.
Not at all. Yeah.
So is there an interest in that for you and going back and being like, do you want to become a master technician and really be the person hands-on, or have you
Yeah.
found your niche?
I think I found my niche, but I do like I'm figuring out a way that I can the way that I basically build my content and do everything with She Oughta Know is that I'm always learning with the viewer. That's kind of, I feel like it's the most welcoming way to teach and show people a world that they have no experience with at all. And so I do want to do an apprenticeship, even if it's part-time. I know, it's a lot, but even if it's like 1 day a week, I want to do something where I'm learning something new. And once I learn that something new, I put it into action and take some people along with me, like, hey guys, look at what I learned this week. That is kind of what I think I want to do. And it's because I've always had also very deep passion for media, for broadcast, for hosting, for sharing, for telling stories. It's like my favorite thing ever. It's what I've known I wanted to do since I was like 13. Um, since I was in high school, actually, taking broadcast classes there and saying, okay, well, I'm in this space and I really love what I'm doing. And I've always been someone who has wanted to be happy in what I'm doing. I know money is important. We all know money is important. However, I wanted to be happy. And I remember telling my mom this, and she was like, so I want you to be a lawyer or doctor. I was like, okay, mom, I know we're first generation Canadian here, but I want to be happy. And I feel like I've succeeded in kind of building a space and a role where I feel happy and fulfilled.
Which is such a beautiful thing. And so few
Yeah.
people can say that, I feel like. And kudos to you for standing up to mom and dad and saying,
Mama
no,
bear.
I'm gonna pursue happiness at the end of the day. And you've made it work. You've made it
Yeah.
profitable. You've made a good life for yourself. So if you got that reaction, because I'm used to hearing trades ladies say that they got that reaction about going to trade school. You
Hmm.
got that reaction about going into media and broadcasting.
Yep.
So that's, you had it once. How did they respond when you said, actually, now I'm going to go get my certificate as a automotive tech?
You know what? My mom has always believed in the power of education. Like her one dream for all of us, as someone who immigrated here and she didn't get to go to college or university, and she did her GED during the pandemic. So I feel like
Mhm.
I got that bit of like, education's important and that know-how and kind of like pursuing things from my mom because she's a powerhouse. She's works from 3 p.m. to like 4 in the morning, or sorry, 2 in the morning,
Wow.
and still found the time to do a GED. And she before that she worked two jobs. So she was doing like a 12 to 1 and then a 3 to 2, like 3 to midnight at the time. So working all day long and then had kids going to elementary school, high school, all that. And then finally quit that part-time job that was from 12 to 2 and said, I'm gonna go and do my GED. I'm like, Mom, can you just relax for a moment?
No.
So she's like, no,
Yes.
no, no, I cannot. So I think that really inspired me as a kid, just growing up and seeing how hard she worked, as a single parent, trying to make sure that we have everything that we want and have options. And although she wanted to mainly hear we were going to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer, she was just happy that we went to post secondary college, and I went to college, university, and trade school. So she's like, wow, you really leaned into that education piece, didn't you? Yeah. So when I told her I was going back to trade school, she was just proud of me. She was just proud
That's
because,
awesome.
I already have this career, and she's like, you're only going to get bigger, better, and more, you be able to do more for your community. So she was really
That's
happy about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And hearing that, we now know that you did not fall very far from the tree. Clearly, that is where your ability to lean into the discomfort and the challenges and the
Mhm.
hard work and all of that, like, we know where that came from. So thanks, Mom, for being a great
Thanks,
example.
mom. 100%. Thanks, mom. She's the best. And she's so supportive. Because when I was going to college and university at the same time, I had three jobs at the time as well. Yeah, it was crazy. Because it was crazy. It's just crazy. Do not recommend. If you do not have to, do not recommend. She'd be, making my lunch and making my bed, and because I would have
Mm.
4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and then I'm like out the door onto the next thing, and you have these big dreams, and you want to go somewhere, get somewhere. So she held down for sure for me, and was very supportive, even though I just wanted to be happy.
I love it. Now, were you talked about planning your wedding. And
Yes.
was were you married before you decided to change career paths? After you decided to change where does the
No.
timeline there, and what did he think about all this?
My husband. Um, it was well, I got married in 2022, and so basically I finished school. Um, I don't like you finished yes, you finished school in like June-ish, and then I got married in October. So like the whole year
Okay.
leading up to the planning of the wedding, I was going back to school. My husband was really supportive also because again, it was during the pandemic. So we had some days where we did the course from home and we had shop days where we went into the shop and worked on the cars. And so, I worked full-time job. I start the show starts at 6 a.m. I wake up every morning at 4 a.m. for the morning show. And then I do the whole morning show. And then I had class like from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it was like ev- Monday to Friday, every day. And so, when I'm there, like, like falling asleep, well, like, teachers teaching, he'd be like, babe, you're sleeping. I'm like, oh no, I'm awake.
I
I'm awake.
swear. I
I
swear.
swear, I swear I was sleeping. I was sleeping. But he was really supportive in that, like making sure like I was studying and make sure I had everything I needed when I was doing school. Yeah, yeah. He was kind of looking at me like, you are crazy going back to school, but I support you.
I love it. And support systems make all the difference
All
in
the
the
difference.
world. All the
Hmm.
difference. Very cool. I love
Yeah.
it. You have such an incredible story. And such God, it's so much fun. And there are so many things that I still want to ask you about. We are already like we're at 47 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting this. This has gone fast, hasn't it?
Yes, so
Um,
fast.
so I want to hear more about your plans for She Oughta Know. Like
Hmm.
we talked a little bit about the event that's coming in October. Do you have other events
Yeah.
planned? How can people find you? Like
Yeah.
what are your big hairy audacious goals that you want for She Oughta Know?
So, there's so much. So yes, we did our first event in March for International Women's Month. At the end of October, I'm trying to doing it all again. Now that the first one's out of the way, it should be. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, it should be easier. Just the same foundation and do it again. However, we're gonna have different programming that's focused on winter car care, winter driving, winter tires, because that's the kind of I try to put them both on just points in the season where we're changing tires and people are thinking about their cars. Um, so there's that. I am hoping to do an event this summer. So if you want to learn more and to keep up, She Oughta Know LTD on Instagram, and then Henry L. Stephanie as well, or stephanielhenry.com. Everything will be there. But hoping to do an event called Cruising and Conversations where we are, yes, I'm hoping to get like a car sponsor where we basically pick people up and you're going to be in the car with someone you don't know and you're going to learn about this person that you're with. I'm still debating on how it's going to all flow. Will it be just general public? Will it be women in auto? Because I think it would be so cool to be able to sit with someone who is senior or farther along in their career in automotive, and someone's just incoming, or someone who's just interested,
Mhm.
and learn from another woman that is already in the space that you kind of are thinking about, you know?
Fun.
Right? And we're gonna
That's
go like
fun. I
I'm
like
thinking
it.
40 minutes away. It's gonna be like a 40-minute drive to a venue where we're have dinner. You're gonna learn more about She Oughta Know, hear from incredible women, and feel empowered and excited about auto. So that is an event I'm hoping to do for this summer. And then I really want to start a bursary and get into schools because again, like I
Oh,
said,
what?
a bursary or a scholarship.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, what?
You're like, what is that?
I think I'm a relatively intelligent person, but I had no idea what you were
Uh-huh.
talking about right there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to team up with a school or start a fund, a dream fund where we raise money and kind of have women and girls kind of say that are entering the trade or an automotive career path
Yeah.
and be able to apply for assistance to get themselves through the program. I think it's really so important to me to give back and to support in the best way I know how, which is, I'm going to give you the support, going to give you some funds, and we're going to see you. become everything you want to be. So those are the main things that we are doing. And then of course for that bursary and that for the bursary, we're going to be doing uh, merch, and I'm hoping to have another special line come out this
Ooh,
summer, maybe around July.
you are
Again, you'll
just
have to
doing the
follow.
most.
I'm doing too much.
No, I love it. I
Too
love
much.
your energy. You're the right age for this. Like you have the energy. Do it while you got it. Because
Yeah.
I'm listening to all this. I'm like, that sounds amazing. I'm really glad she's doing it. Um, I'm tired just listening to
I'm
you.
tired. Yeah, it's a
And
lot, but I find so much joy in it. I like it's something I can call my own that is, where I can help people and I can help people learn on the day to day about their cars, and and also indulge myself in what's latest and greatest in automotive, which is what I always want to be about. And yeah, I just love it. I just love it. So doesn't feel
and she
like
still
work.
has a full-time job, y'all. And she
Yeah.
has a full-time job on top
Yes,
of
she
all of this.
does.
Do
I've been
you
awake since 4 this morning.
Oh, good lord. All right. I promise I won't keep you on
No,
much
not at
longer than
all. I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Do I mean maybe I shouldn't ask this question. Do you want to continue doing both? Like is that
Mhm,
the goal? Like keep doing both
mhm.
until you get too tired to do them both?
I think so. Literally, yes. I think, for the time being, yes, I'm so about doing both because I think there's so much power in creating stories, automotive stories on television. I don't think there are enough of them in like the morning show space or the news space. And
Yeah.
so the more I can kind of add to that and be present every day and doing traffic and engaging with people and having them see me, see she ought to know, and see like there is a path and something to
Yeah.
look forward to past the show, I think is so important and so great. And also having that visibility and that platform again, access to it is awesome. And then yeah, having also supportive managers that are
Mhm.
allowed me to bring Shiatano to the show and share my event and share what we're all about. I think is so incredible. So definitely have to shout them out too.
Yeah, I saw
And
your
yeah.
clip where you announced it on the
Oh
show.
yeah.
I'll put a
Yay.
link to it in the bottom for folks to see. It was so cute. Like they were so proud of you. Like
They
they're
were.
just so proud of you. It's such a cool thing to see.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with you, your energy, you're so dynamic. It's so perfect and it's so needed because you're right. There's not enough automotive content in the mainstream, right? The
Mhm.
mainstream world doesn't really think about mechanics or cars other than like, oh crap, mine is broken now. I have to go to the dreaded mechanic, right?
Yeah.
So bringing more of that in an intelligent and approachable way by itself is a huge thing. So thank you for
Mhm.
that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
doing it as a woman, doing it as a Black woman, doing it now as a certified technician, Black female,
Mhm.
like all of the things. You're breaking so many barriers and being such a role model and such an inspiration. And I think even if you did nothing else, you'd still have such a huge impact. And yet you are doing so many other amazing things. So your impact, I know, is going to be just it's going to be huge.
Oh, thank
Ripples
you.
in the water, right?
Ripples, ripples in the water. Yes, thank you. That means so much to me. It really means so much to me because there are days I get tired. I get tired. You're doing so many different things, and you're like, "Oh, is it all worth it?" But honestly, that moment at the event where you just seeing the bright faces of all the women that felt so excited and being able to provide that content in an approachable way, in a way where you want to come along for the ride and you want to learn a bit more, especially at a time where the industry is changing so much.
Mhm.
Cars as we know them are changing so much. There's so much that a lot of people just don't know and don't have experience with. I was just on a drive with the new Nissan Aria, and I had my producer come along with me, who's a woman, and she drove us to location in the Aria because I had to log in and I was like, yeah, you drive because I gotta prepare for the show. And she was like, wow, I can see the numbers in the windshield. What's going on? She's like, oh my gosh, it's so fast. Like it was her first time driving an electric vehicle. I was
Oh,
like, and for me, I drive them, I test drive them. I'm going through them, the number, the whole nines all the time. And I just like took a step back and I was like, is this your first time in an electric vehicle? Are we experiencing this for the first time together? And I was so excited just to experience that with her and answer her questions and encourage her to continue to look into it and see if a hybrid is for you, see if full
Yeah.
electric is for you. Does your building have charging capabilities? Is it going to anytime soon? Getting those conversations started and having those conversations at all, I think is so important, and I think that we should have more of them, especially during this time. So that was
Yeah.
really fun too.
Amen to that. I think the biggest thing is just not being afraid of it, right? Like
Exactly.
not being afraid of any of it and being willing to ask those questions.
Mhm.
Given that, is there anything that in your journey of your learning and going to school that like surprised you, that as you learned about cars that you were like, oh, that I did not like, I didn't expect, or this is harder or easier or more complicated, or just anything that's kind of caught you off guard that you weren't expecting?
So much. Everything.
Fair.
um, I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it was going to be something completely different from anything I've ever done. I think that sitting there and going into class I'm also not, okay, I talk for a living. Math is not for me. Earlier, I was like, yeah, I went 2022 and I'm 30, figure it out, viewers, figure it out.
The same way.
Like math's not for me. So the amount of math, right? I was worried about that, and honestly, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Thankfully, it was, especially with the right teacher, it was great.
Yeah.
But I think I just found a new appreciation for cars, and I also found a new appreciation for mechanics. I'm not knocking doctors at all, but like mechanics are basically doctors for cars, and the patient can't really talk to you. That is how I see mechanics. And so when I was in school doing the program and trying to figure out what is wrong with this Prius, like I just don't know. And I was getting frustrated. It was like there was no better feeling than finally figuring out what was wrong with the car and being able to fix it. And I wanted to bring that feeling of empowerment and confidence and like, oh, I like that breakthrough to other women. So I think that was the biggest revelation for me going to school was that, yeah, like the appreciation for cars, appreciation for doctors, and what we put them through when we don't treat either of them right.
Yes. Or we
It's
lie
huge.
to them.
We
Like, don't
lie.
lie to your mechanic. Don't lie to your doctor.
Don't lie. Don't lie. You're gonna figure it out anyways. So
Mhm.
just go to the truth.
It's just gonna be more expensive for you when you
Hmm.
lie.
When you lie, absolutely. So don't do it.
I so agree with you. That was such a similar kind of thing for me, was like this realization of how complex it is.
Hmm.
And yet at the same time, how simple it can be when you break it down, and like
Hmm.
the wanting to teach people the simple parts of it. Like obviously we can't
Hmm.
teach people everything.
Exactly.
There it is a lot of complexity, and I love, I'd use the doctor analogy all the time. That they can't talk back to us, and doctors only have to deal with two models, male and female.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We got to deal with like hundreds, if not
100.
thousands of different
Yes.
models, and the
Yes.
technology keeps changing on us, right?
Mhm. Yes,
So
yes. I mean, when I was in school, we were still, of course, learning about ICE vehicles.
Mhm.
And I don't know, EVs are like being talked about, like, oh my gosh, EVs, and like all these EVs are coming out, and we're learning here on engines. And I was like, but are we gonna get an EV in here and figure out how we're gonna get to the battery like that? I'm interested in that, and I don't know. I know I told you I didn't want to go back to school, but
But you do.
I kind of want to do like a certificate like on EVs or something. I don't know if that exists. If somebody
Uh,
knows, let me know.
I know that there are some like independent companies that are offering training specifically in EV.
Mhm.
I don't know if there's like a certificate program per
Mm,
se, but there are
mhm.
several like classes, even just shorter term
Classes.
ones. Like
Oh, okay,
I
perfect.
I think you and I are the same in the sense, like, we're always gonna be seeking out education and taking classes, like, the eternal student, it's never gonna end. That's a
Never.
beautiful thing.
It
And
is.
technology keeps changing, so you have to.
You have
So,
to. Knowledge is power, and I am down for a class instead of a certificate. I thought a certificate sounded shorter than a degree or diploma, so I was like, I'll do a certificate. But a class? I'm in for a class.
boom. Alright. We'll talk more offline, we'll find you some
Yes,
classes.
I love it. Thank
We
you.
are hour is up. I have one final question for you that I
Yes.
always like to end on, and that is if you had the opportunity, Miss Stephanie Henry, to go back in time and talk to
Mm,
little baby you, little
mm,
younger version of you before life happened, what
mhm.
are your words of advice or inspiration for her?
Oh, that's a deep one. That's a deep question. My advice would be to, you know, to follow your heart and not everything will be clear in the beginning. I think that, we when we go to school and we're told we got to go down this one path, we got to pick a path at a very young age, and we got to pretty much stick to that path and find and go to college, university, and not even I didn't even hear trades when I was in high school. That wasn't even spoken. No, not a word didn't even exist for me. Um, that we had to pick these two paths. These are the only two paths that you can go down. Um, I wish I knew. I obviously wish everyone wishes they knew more when they were younger, but I wish I knew more. And I wish I wasn't so like, okay, well, I guess I have to go. My mom, as a first generation Canadian, my mom really wanted me to go to university. Okay, like that's her dream, and I'm happy I did it. But did I have to? I mean, I could have gotten into like the trades so much earlier, and my path could have been much more straight. But I think it's again, I'm like using these analogies, but I think it's like taking the different twists and turns, and maybe getting a no or seeing a dead end and having to turn around and go back and figure things out. I think that is the best way we learn and we grow, even though it feels so hard in the moment. So I would tell myself, my younger self, like, even though, not getting into that school you really wanted felt like the end of the world, there's so much more that is out there for you, and you just have to be patient.
Mm, I love that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You are so right. Such wonderful words. And it's so sometimes hard to remember in that moment that like that dead end is not the end. It is not the final end, that it may lead to a better path. I've had this mantra recently because I've been needing that reminder. So thank you for the reminder. But I have this
Mm,
mantra, which has been trust the timing of your life. And I just keep reminding myself of it. Trust the timing of your life. Trust the timing of your life, because you never know why that dead end had to happen that forced you to go in this opposite direction. So,
absolutely.
so beautifully said. You are a force to be reckoned with. I am so excited to continue to see your journey unfold. Thank you so very much for
Oh,
agreeing to join me on this
of
tonight and sharing
course.
your
Thank
story.
you for asking me. Are you kidding me? I saw your name pop up in the DMs and I was like, oh, me
Oh,
on the podcast. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing your platform with me and for inviting me on. And I can't wait to connect outside of the pod and to learn more about you and come visit you maybe.
yeah.
I'm making plans up here like we're best friends and I think
Oh,
we
we
are.
already are. No, it's totally done deal.
Okay,
Yep.
we are.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, it's done. I'm like looking up flights right now. No, but thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait
Absolutely.
to for our friendship to grow and to also see what you continue to do. And thank you so much for creating this platform for incoming women that are already in the industry, and women that are interested in the industry to hear the stories of different women and understand that we have similarities, and of course there are differences, but we're all kind of, I feel like, going down the same path for the same goal, and that's to educate and to empower and to exist in spaces where
Mhm.
we traditionally don't see us, so, and exist well.
Amen to that. Say it louder for the folks in the back. Absolutely. Um, Phenomenal woman. I knew you were going to be dynamic. I
Oh,
had no idea I was in for such a treat. You're phenomenal. Thank you,
thank
thank you, thank
you.
you. We will definitely be connecting more. And folks at home, thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Stephanie as much as I did. I'm sure you did, judging from the comments. I'm pretty sure you guys enjoyed meeting her as well. All of her contact information will be down in the description below, so make sure you go check her out. Keep up to date on all of her new adventures and experiences and opportunities that are coming up in the near future. And who knows, maybe we'll be doing some sort of collaboration in the future. That just might happen.
I'm in. I I'm going to look up my flight.
All right, done. All right, so more to come, guys. Definitely more to come. But for now, I'm going to send you guys off for the night. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Make sure you come back every Wednesday for another live episode. And of course, every Monday, we release an archive episode. So twice a week, you get an opportunity to meet an incredible woman on With Her Two Hands. And until next time, be good to yourselves, be good to one another, be good human beings, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.